right, hi everybody, David Fogel, back with you, CEO of the Symphonina Foundation, back with another Symphonina Foundation podcast. I'm joined today by Bryson Finney. Bryson, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Great. Bryson is Director of Learning at the Nashville Symphony. He's also a clarinet player. We're going to learn all about that. Why don't we start with what your role is at the Nashville Symphony and what the Director of Learning does on a day-to-day basis?
I get the privilege of, as Director of Learning, overseeing all the educational programming at the Nashville Symphony. And so my title is Director of Learning because, yes, that means K-12 educational programming, but also expanding into adulthood. So we hope to offer some learning experiences for not only students, but also adults.
Students from ages 1 to 92.
Exactly. And so I work in tandem with the community engagement director. And so I like to say I oversee the programming that comes in the hall because she oversees the programming that goes out into the community. But
Excellent.
yes.
And what kind of programming is that then? What is Nashville doing for reaching out to students, young people, or their parents, or anybody else for that matter?
It's wonderful. So I'm going to highlight a couple of our programs. I'll start with the Accelerando program. And so this is the Nashville Symphony's initiative. It's an intensive music education program designed to prepare gifted young students for music at the collegiate level and beyond. I'd love to dive deeper into that, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about some of the other programs as
Sure.
well.
Yeah.
Of course, we offer young people's concerts. So this is an opportunity, as I was saying before, where students will come into the hall and hear the symphony and learn about the orchestra. This is probably one of the most popular programs with schools, private, charter, public schools in the Nashville area. It's a field trip for teachers and students. I also oversee our open dress rehearsals. So something I think is pretty cool the Nashville Symphony does, they open up once a month one of their dress rehearsals before they perform. Students can come in, they can come in, purchase tickets at a discount, and get a chance to watch behind the curtain or behind the scenes before the orchestra performs that
How long do
evening.
they have? Well, sorry to interrupt you, but I'm very curious
Yeah,
about that. How long do they have to watch the rehearsals? Is it
it's a
like
good
for an
question.
hour,
So,
or how long does it
yeah,
go?
typically about 2 hours.
That's nice. Okay.
They take a break in the middle, and so they groups can decide whether they want to stay
Hmm.
or depart halfway through.
Okay.
And then we also host choral and also instrumental festivals. And so right now is the We Are Nashville Festival that happens in March, Music in Our Schools Month. And so we see anywhere from 500 to 600 students from around the Middle Tennessee area come and perform live on the stage at the Skirmahorn Symphony Center, which is a really fun event. But yes, that's a brief overview of some of the education programs at the Nashville Symphony.
And the Nashville Symphony itself is an extremely highly regarded national symphony in America. I want to emphasize that point to everybody. If you have an opportunity to see the Nashville Symphony, please do. It's awesome. How long have you been in this position?
So it's a unique question. So I joined full time the Nashville Symphony fall 2025.
Okay.
However, I've worked with the Nashville Symphony since I want to say 2020, and that was my first time that I worked with the Accelerando program was back in 2020.
Okay, now that would have
Uh,
been tough. There's COVID.
I know.
How
You'd
did
be,
you do it?
you'd be surprised. So
I
we
would
were
be. How did you do it?
so, very creative, but the program thrived. We were socially distanced. Interesting enough, another career that I've had in education has been around education technology and then supporting teachers with how to use technology and leverage technology for learning. And so that came in handy during those
I
times.
bet it did. Yeah.
But yeah, and then also working with the We Are Nashville Festival with the Nashville Symphony. So that started back in 2022. So I've been a frequent partner, I would say, or a visitor at the Skirmahorn before I became full time.
Let me ask you a question. I don't mean it as an impertinent one, but an important one. So it might be a little bit dicey, but let's go with it for a second. I find as I'm looking as I travel sometimes, and I go to a symphony just because hey, I'm traveling, I want to go see something, and I look at the ticket prices, and I see the very very upfront tickets are fairly expensive. At least by my standards, they're fairly expensive. And the very, very back tickets are not expensive. And then there's kind of a middle ground where I would put them a little bit on the expensive side, personally. Is that something that you notice? Is that something that you work on in terms of how you price the orchestra so that families can come and have more young people enjoy what the symphony has to offer and get introduced to it? Or are there other competing objectives in there that I'm not aware of that are important?
That's a great question. And I feel like this is a question of access for the
Yeah,
community and for families. So I know I don't have much say on the pricing of the tickets
sure.
for our season for our classical series, I should say, and other
Uh-huh.
series. But as far as educational programming, like our festival,
Hmm.
choral instrumental festival, so right now those tickets are free. So
Awesome.
we do have box seats that are, of course, elevated on the sides of the hall. So there's a slight price, a $10 fee for those seats. But the purpose of that program is to build community through music. And so we want to make sure it's accessible to the community.
Right.
And so I'll say also our open dress rehearsal. So we make sure to communicate that to our middle school, high school, and beyond college students, and also senior programs. So we offer discounted tickets to that. And that is an opportunity to come in the hall and experience the orchestra. And then for I didn't mention this, but also for our families, we have a family series.
Hmm.
And so there's typically four concerts in a season. That's an opportunity for families to come into the hall, and those tickets usually aren't at the typical price that you would see for a classical concert.
Okay.
Um, but yes, and then of course our young people's concerts are free for students.
That's great too. I do think it's something that orchestras need to be cognizant of, and I'm sure they are in terms of how they go about thinking about how they are money. Or they're responsible. They're not money making necessarily. Most of us certain charities, right? So we get a lot of like the Symphonina Foundation, and most orchestras get most of the revenue from donations and not from ticket sales, and I appreciate that too. But it would be great if I think for some period of time maybe someone could experiment with some lower prices and see if we can't get more young
Yes.
people to be the future of the attendees of the orchestra. You know?
That topic is so relevant right now for us. So I was just in a meeting last week, and so around this topic,
Hmm.
particularly for students and college students, and so we are talking about it. So we're starting a new program at the symphony. So we've had what's called sound check, and so they're discounted tickets for students.
Uh-huh.
But beginning college students, but beginning this fall or this 26-27 season, we'll have the K-12 free ticket club. And so the tickets will be free for K-12 students. And then we'll have the university club. So those tickets will be discounted for college students. Look for more information around that coming out soon, but that's a big plus.
I appreciate that, Bryson. You know, one thing I don't want to make the podcast about me ever, but I think it's important for maybe for you if you didn't know. So the Symphonina Foundation, my impetus for starting it was I went to the San Diego Symphony like 8 years ago when I was 54 on a Sunday afternoon, and I got there a little early. I was pretty much the youngest person in the audience at 54. And I like, okay, this is not acceptable. You know, but we're Erwin Jacobs here in San Diego has done a lot to make sure that the San Diego Symphony will survive forever. The question is who's going to be in the audience, you know? So I kind of thought, well, okay, people's attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. So we have sonatas and sonatinas as kind of short sonatas. Why don't we have, instead of hour-long symphonies, let's have a symphonina, and everything has to play within 10 to 12 minutes, and every movement is about the same length of time in duration as a typical streaming tune that we all become conditioned to appreciate, how long it's supposed to go. And that has resonated very well, but I think, we're both on the same page. We need to be able to entice and encourage those younger people and their parents to be able to come and enjoy the music, and then hopefully they'll know, hey, actually, we do enjoy this music, and we're happy to actually attend a symphony concert that's going to last
Yes.
2 hours and all that. So,
Yeah. And I mean, not to to expound too much on this, but I love this topic. So one of the reasons that I was excited about coming on board at the Nashville Symphony in this position, I've worked close to 18 years in the school systems. And so being able to represent the Nashville Symphony, this has been honestly, it's been a dream of mine to work for
yeah.
the Nashville Symphony or work for a symphony organization. So I've just grown up adoring and loving classical music. But I also see a disconnect when I was in the classroom working with students, whether they weren't exposed to this type of music or they didn't think the music was for them, or a lot of it was access and exposure. And
Yeah.
so being in this position, I want to be out in the schools as much as I can and in the community advocating for this genre of music too, and for what our symphony provides for the community, and communicating that this is our orchestra. This music is for everyone. And so in that, also making opportunities accessible for teachers and for students and for families. But yeah, that hits home for me,
Perfect.
that topic. Yeah.
Perfect. You're a clarinet player.
Yes.
Yes. My dad was a great clarinet player and a sax player. Well, that's the saxophone back there that I'm pointing to that nobody can see. But I picked it back up again as an adult. But clarinet, I have to say, one of the harder. They're all hard. All the instruments are hard to master. But I have utmost admiration for those who are great at the clarinet. So, how did you get started?
Ah, that's a great question too. Feel free to stop me if I get this.
Yeah,
This
go
is a
ahead.
great story.
Yeah.
So I started on trumpet.
Okay.
So this was the instrument my family had, and so I wanted to be in
Good
band.
reason to start on it. Yeah, absolutely.
That's where I started. So I played trumpet in middle school and then in high school, but I always wanted to play clarinet.
Hmm.
I would watch the clarinets in the front row or the second row,
What was it about
and
the clarinets that
I
enticed you
don't
like that?
I don't know. I think I I loved watching the way their fingers are moving on the
Sure.
instrument.
Sure.
I love the sound, but I don't know. There was something about the clarinet from middle school. I always wanted to play it. I can't really, I mean, so much so that I had my flutophone or recorder
Hmm.
from elementary school, and I would play John Philip Sousa's marches,
Hmm.
and I would figure out how to make the sounds the clarinets were playing
Okay. All
on my
right.
recorder. That's how bad I
Dedication.
wanted to play.
Very
Yeah, I
dedicated.
wanted
All
to
right.
play
Yeah.
bad. But yeah, I was playing trumpet, and then in high
Hmm.
school, my band director had me switch to French horn, and I
Wow.
loved French horn.
Wow.
But I wanted to play clarinet, and so my father found a pawn shop. It's $100 clarinet
Okay.
while when I was in ninth grade, and so I picked it up and started playing on my own
Hmm.
and learning it. I learned it well enough to be able to play in the pit orchestra for musicals at my high school, but I was decent enough that my band director thought I could audition when it was time for music school, audition for school
Yeah.
on the instrument. But yeah, and so I had a lot of self-taught habits that had to be broken. And so that first year in college, it was Christopher Grimes. He was my clarinet professor, but I was kind of under his wing and working with his grad student. And so after that first year, I was brought into the School of Music on clarinet officially. But yeah, that was the instrument I really wanted to play. So I was committed to playing it and being
And
successful.
that French horn must have been hard too at the interim.
Oh man, yes. That was hard. It was, I will say I enjoyed it more than the trumpet. No offense to trumpet players, it's a great
Mhm.
instrument,
Yeah.
but I love the parts the French horns have in music,
Yeah.
particularly in film scores and film
Absolutely.
music.
Right.
I
Yeah.
love it. So I fell in love with the sound of the horn, but clarinet had my heart.
Excellent. And so, how much do you practice still?
I'll say not as much as I did in college.
Okay.
So, but I play every week. And so I've played in here in Nashville, the Nashville Community Concert Band. I played with them for a number of years.
Hmm.
Great ensemble here in Nashville.
Hmm.
And then I have a cousin here in Nashville who directs the Nashville African American Wind Symphony.
Okay.
And so I played with them their past season. I took a break with this new job.
Hmm.
And so, but yes, I love playing.
Sounds great. What do you expect to get back to it then?
I do. Yeah, I do. I'm giving myself a good full year in this role before I jump back into an ensemble
Yeah,
and
fair
commit.
enough. Fair enough. Well, yeah, I'm sure your chops will be there. You just have to. I bet at this point
Oh yes.
you know what to practice, right?
Oh
So
yes.
when you come
Yeah.
back, you'll go, yeah, yeah, yeah. But I know what to practice. So it's just a matter of doing it. I think that's true. It'd be
I
true.
can never.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. I can never let all those years of hard work in college go to waste. So I will stay on the horn. That's always right here.
And what about the saxophone? Did you ever venture out to
I
that?
did.
Yeah.
I did. So in high school, again, I wanted to be in the jazz band. And so I picked up alto sax.
Uh-huh.
So we rented an alto sax, auditioned for jazz band, and ended up making it on tenor. And so
Yeah.
then I had
There
to
you
rent
go.
a tenor. And
Yeah, yeah.
so the difference between playing clarinet, so here's my chops were going through this confusion.
Hmm.
So we were playing horn in concerts,
Yes.
and then we were playing clarinet for musicals, and I was playing tenor saxophone for jazz for jazz band. So the embouchure difference, just loosening up my embouchure to play tenor sax was a bear. But
Yeah.
But
So
I played for a while.
check me for this as a sax player, but I remember I had 4 months of clarinet, and then I wisely
Yeah.
gave it up. But it's the clarinet embouchure is your lip is tucked over your lower teeth. But for saxophone, generally it's out. Some people play it tucked under, but it kind of muffles the tone. So it depends on whether you're playing classical, maybe, or you're playing jazz. But jazz, it's usually extended and much looser. Do I have that basically
Yes.
correct?
It sounds right. Yes.
Yeah. So you gotta learn how to make it work and stay in tune with either embouchure, depending on what you're doing. Right? I mean, it's there's always a challenge. What programs do you get to suggest at the Nashville Symphony that are coming up for the rest of this year, let's say, that you have planned that are your baby?
Okay, that's a great question. I want to highlight as far as for education programming in the spring. So in the fall, I don't want to say things are quiet because they're not, but as
Hmm.
far as programs that we're putting on, they happen in the spring.
Okay.
So our festival is on March 15th. It's the We Are Nashville Festival. Again, this is a great opportunity for students from all over Middle Tennessee to come. They're in master classes and workshops with guest artists that we bring in, and then they get a chance to perform at on stage at the Skirmorn Symphony Center that evening. It's a free concert. Also, I want to highlight our I have to double check the date on this, but
Uh,
we have our Curb Concerto competition. So this is a national competition the symphony hosts every year. So we're looking for students from ages 14 to 18. This is on our website as well,
okay.
but the application will open up in November. And so they could submit a clip or a performance performing a concerto. We'll have our first panel of judges, our Nashville Symphony musicians, look at all the applicants, and then we'll select our top three finalists. And I love to share this, but those top three finalists get an opportunity to perform their concerto live with our Nashville Symphony here in Nashville.
Awesome.
And so we do
That's
offer
great.
cash prizes. Yeah, so there's a cash prize for our first place winner. So all three finalists coming to Nashville will place either first, second, or third. And
Hmm.
so they're going to leave Nashville with some cash.
Yeah.
So
That's wow. There is a lot going on. All right, Bryson, we really appreciate you spending some time with us, and actually, really, it's just our privilege to be able to learn what you're doing and be able to highlight Nashville Symphony. I'm sure there are many other things going on at other symphonies that you could point us to offline, and maybe we can speak with your counterparts at other symphonies and share the good word. If there's anything at all that we can do at the Symphonina Foundation to be of help to you, just let us know. As you know, our mission is spreading the joy of symphonic music to young audiences around the world. So we're right here with you. You just let us know how to be of help, and we'll do it.
Thank you so much.
All right, Bryson, you take care. We'll get you next time.
Thank you. You too.